That's why we will provide the support necessary for all young Americans to complete college and meet a new goal. By 2020, America will once again have the highest proportion of college graduates in the world. That is a goal we can meet. That's a goal we can meet.
Yes and no. So my wife, who I was dating at the time, we've been together since high school, and so I was working full time in a shop, and she was going to UC Santa Cruz. Now I've always considered myself a rather intelligent individual, street smart, book smart, kind of a nice mix, let's say. Well, then I'd go visit her up in UC Santa Cruz, and just her friends just looked kind of, I don't know. I didn't think any of them were relatively bright or intelligent people, but I could tell that they looked at me differently, which that is something I don't put up with well. And so I watched her graduate and watched her friends who I had very little respect for, pretty much zero respect for, graduate. And I'm like, I know I'm more intelligent and smarter than these people. I'm cooler than them. You know, as far as like people goes, like not like I'm cool, but you know. Yeah. And so seeing her graduate was really the catalyst that I didn't want. So when I talk about imposter syndrome, I didn't want that to be something that would have hindered our relationship. Not that it would have, because my wife isn't like that, but I didn't want that to be an issue 20 years down the line, you know. And I wanted to, you know, I don't belong, like I shouldn't be a teacher. If you see my transcripts, I had a 2.0 like through high school. Yeah. Like I failed so many classes. So like, yes, man, that's a really good question. Like, I don't feel like I still don't feel like I belong. Like I have a master's degree. What the heck do I have a master's degree for? Like, I'm not smart enough for that. I'm not, you know, but I do. You know, I did it. So it's really college.
Yes, because going from high school where you are here from 8:30 to 3, you kind of get to pick your classes, but you don't at the same time. Going to college where I picked how many classes I wanted to take in the semester, if I wanted a Friday class or if I didn't, if I wanted night classes or not. So that flexibility and the fact that I got to make those decisions definitely made me realize like, oh, I'm in control now. This is all my responsibility. So if I mess up, that's on me. If I don't take advantage of the fact that I'm in these classes, I'm losing money. So it very much made me, not all the time, but step up and do what I feel more
independent.
Yes, and it started making me feel like an adult because I'm like, it's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday and I don't have class. So I can go work, I can go hang out. It was exciting, but also intimidating at the same time.
Luckily, I mean, I had started working when I was a freshman in high school. I worked, you know, actually worked 32 hours a week. So, well, you know, it wasn't really like, and I went to the junior college. It was one of those, and it was, I guess would say too, it's funny because even through high school, and I don't know, I hope it's open and I hope it's okay just to expound on this, that
no, it's okay.
It was not, you know, I had friends that were, you know, say white friends that were, you know, more directed, you know, that had more opportunity than I did. And they were, you know, like some of them were going straight to a four-year university. And I just remember that being foreign to me. I didn't really understand what, you know, how do you do that? What's going on? But I, you know, other friends I knew that were just like, well, we're like I would imagine the same way it is here. Oh, I'm going to go to Gavilan, or I'm going to go to Cabrillo or something like that. So I would say that, like, one of the things too is being first generation college, but then also coming from a socioeconomically disadvantaged background, right? So growing up, I just termed as poor. That was probably the thing for me that really impacted me as far as, you know, just feeling comfortable at school. And that was where, you know, because I definitely identify with the Latino side of the Mexican side of my family and everything. And so when I was there, it's funny, I felt very, I look around, and I didn't see a lot of people like me. And so it felt really uncomfortable. In my journey, a college journey though too, I hit a wall and didn't feel like I was achieving the way I wanted to, and just felt really out of place, I guess. And so my college got interrupted with I joined the Army. So I spent time in the Army between my first half of the college and my second half of the college. When I was in the Army, I was a medic in the Army. And so when I got out of the Army, I was thinking about going into nursing and everything. But then I was starting to complete my degree and everything. And I don't know, it was really something that just occurred naturally. I think it was a good choice. I think it was a solid choice. I've, helped a lot of students throughout the years. But it was something, and even like to put my finger on it, this is exactly why I became a teacher.
You know what? I think that was one of the most difficult things to kind of overcome in college. Like it's such a mental game, right? Like I went to a school where everybody looked like me. We were all brown. We all came from basically no money. And to then go from that into a predominantly white institution, I was insecure. Like I would look at my peers and see what they were wearing, how they would talk, how they would participate. And it would really get myself into my head, because I was like, how am I supposed to compete with that? Like we're on the quote unquote equal playing field, but because of how they were raised and because of how I was raised, there was a scarcity of resources how I was raised. And then these folks had a plethora of resources, and I would always kind of like, just second guess myself and my abilities. And I don't think I really started believing in my abilities until I was in like my 4th or 5th year of college. And I knew those first 3 or 4 years was very, very hard, because I often always compared myself to my friends who had money. I would always compare myself to other kids in class, because I'd be like, how do they make it look so easy when I'm struggling to even raise my hand?
Bueno, de hecho, yo no esperaba la reacción de mis papás. Yo pensé que mis papás me iban a apoyar mucho con la decisión de ir a la universidad. Yo estuve estudiando la preparatoria en San Diego. Entonces, me gradué de San Diego y me aceptaron a la Universidad de Davis, que era mi primera opción. Me aceptaron a varias universidades y yo quería irme a estudiar a Davis, y pensé que mis padres me iban a apoyar mucho, porque ellos siempre decían, haz un buen trabajo en la escuela, se trata de superarse. Y cuando les dije, me voy a ir a Davis, ellos me dijeron, no te vayas, vete al colegio comunitario de San Diego. Querían que me quedara porque no habían experimentado eso con ninguno de mis hermanos. De hecho, mis hermanos, ninguno de ellos se graduó del colegio comunitario con su asociado, nunca se graduaron y nunca se transfirieron tampoco a una universidad. Entonces me dijeron que no estaban de acuerdo con mi decisión y prácticamente me dijeron, si tú te vas sin nuestro apoyo, tanto moral como económico. Me dijeron, tú tienes que descubrir a ver cómo le haces. Y eso fue un poquito impactante para mí, porque yo no esperaba esa reacción de mis padres. Pensé que al contrario me iban a apoyar y me iban a decir, sí, vamos a apoyarte con lo que podamos, aunque sea poquito dinero. Ellos nunca me ayudaron en nada. O sea, el celular yo lo tenía que pagar, mi primer carro, yo me compré mi primer carro, trabajaba para pagar mi gasolina, trabajaba para comprarme comida. Entonces fue un poquito inesperada la reacción de mis padres.
Right, in terms of like academics, social, like finance, like there's so many things. I think the one thing I would have enjoyed, I mean, for sure, like the financial part, right? Like no one
tells you.
That. Yeah.
You don't really learn that in school at all.
No, and like my parents didn't really talk about money either. Like I knew that was a big issue growing up, because they would always argue about money, but it wasn't like, I knew going to college they weren't going to be able to help me. Like I already knew that. So it was like, well, then I have to find a job, and then I need to balance a job with living, and then I need to balance, my social life, but then I still need to study, and then eating, and like, there's all these different factors that go into everything, and it was just difficult. And then like I was telling you earlier, right, about the financial aid. Like I got loans, right? That wasn't my money. And then when I graduated, I was like, okay, I graduated, and now it's like, oh, I owe so much. And it's like, as a first year teacher, it's difficult too, because then you don't even make that much, right? And then I had to get my master's, and then again, right, same thing with navigating, like, okay, so now what? I feel like, how could I have better prepared? I don't know. My parents did the best that they could. They got elementary education in Mexico, so it's like, right, they could have helped me out with like, do this or do that. But no, the help that they gave me was already a lot, right? So, but it was like, I don't know what else I could have done before going through it. Like now I know I can help out my daughter when she gets to that point, but I think that would have been some help that I would have probably, because college isn't like, like you have 12th grade, right? Your senior year. College is not grade 13. It's not that same, a whole different category. You know what I mean? But yeah, just navigating everything, and it was a big difference. part of it too, I feel like, was the amount of time that you spent studying, right? In high school, I feel like it's just the way like it's set up, right? Like you have your teachers that are really supportive, give you study guides, give you like, hey, do homework, hey, these assignments are due, hey, like, you know, like all the extra support. That's all gone in college. You don't have anyone tell you like, hey, study for your test, it's gonna happen, right?
El consejo principal es que se enfoquen y que visualicen qué quieren hacer en su futuro. Tener esa visión de qué es lo que quieren y que hagan el plan, cómo lo van a lograr. Porque hay muchas oportunidades desde que están en la escuela y si no tienen el plan, pues no lo van a lograr. Y hay muchos que se conforman, se quieren conformar, pero yo les aconsejo que siempre dejen la puerta abierta. La puerta a la educación siempre tiene que estar abierta porque una persona educada va a valer siempre más en cualquier trabajo.